bandwidth will not be, then the super bandwidth will not be interesting. That's the point. We will not move to higher bandwidth or faster bandwidth or whatever because it's accessible to us. We will stay on the internet where other people are because the internet is a tool for communication. The most important thing with the internet is not the speed or your downloads. The most important thing with the internet is that you are where everybody else is. So if not the whole population of France can get access to super bandwidth, very few people will be interested in it because then classic bandwidth, whatever that is, will be the most interesting thing because that is where the Facebook function will be that we want to use.
So
at the end of the day, what the mass of people are using is going to interest the market.
So if tomorrow there is
economy.
a very fast internet,
and if very few people can afford it, then it won't happen.
It's like when you talk about the fax machines, if you have only 3 fax machines, it's pointless to have a fax machine.
Because nobody can fax it.
Network effect.
Yeah, and that besides the internet already, that's already how the internet works today. You cannot create a super internet for a few people because they will still stay on the tradition.
I doubt very much that the French government would allow that because the smart governments like Hong Kong, for example, are always subsidizing infrastructure, computer infrastructure like that, and trying to make it zero cost. I mean, telephone didn't cost anything during the 90s.
The standard bandwidth today in Japan is 5 times stronger than anywhere in Europe. And it's the same thing in Korea and Singapore. Asia has taken the lead technologically in this area a long time ago. Not even, America is even behind Europe. So we're not going to see developments in France or in Europe that's somehow high-tech and can compete with what's happening in Singapore or Japan. Europe at best for the next 20 years will do its best to run and try to catch up with Asia. That's how it is technologically today. The most technological advanced society in the world is Korea, not France or America.
Yes.
I have a small question about TV. You said when you, after his question, when you watch TV, you're not active, you're passive. When I change channel, I am active.
No,
that's pseudo-active.
You're not communicating. No.
You're not really active. That's pseudo-active.
Okay. You're pseudo-active.
We have advertisements for the advertisement industry. I am active.
Yes, but you're choosing from soap detergent X or soap detergent Y. We have a chapter about
what's interesting what's more interesting with television is that television is becoming more and more like the web, like this. It's moving to the web, and when it moves to the web, it will survive because traditional television is that it costs a lot of money to build a TV station. So only very few people can afford it. In some countries, it's even illegal unless the government owns it. And then they send the message to the masses, which is one way of communication. That is completely disappeared. But what TV is also storytelling. For example, a film. You have 1.5 to 2 hours to tell a story. And you don't really want to be interactive during the story because you want one person, a writer, to tell his or her story about the world. And you want to sit there and consume that story. And then you can be interactive after the story is told. TV is perfect for that. What's really dying is cinema, for example. But the idea of the skills, the 1.5 to 2 hour format, or the 3 minute format, which is usually TV interview or a pop song, which is what I do. Those formats will survive because they're ingrained with us as a way of storytelling. They will survive now on the web and take on web characteristics. And the perfect example of that is that most TV shows today have sort of web functions built in where the audience can decide who's going to win, etc. That is a perfect example of how the web is taking over television.
And if you look at trash television today, like American Idol and stuff like that, you have this pseudo-activity, pseudo-interactivity where you can phone in and vote for the best player of the game or vote out the participant or the one who sings the worst song or whatever. And this is a kind of pointless activity where it's just entertainment.
I feel like I am active.
Which you do, but it's pseudo-interactivity.
So you can realize that the TV companies get it that people are thirsting for interactivity. So they're offering this mock.
I think we work this way, and without this the whole theory would collapse. I think that once people have learned to read and write, they really enjoy reading and writing and the power it gives them, and the sense of understanding the world better. It's a fantastic, powerful feeling to be able to read and write. And it's the same thing with interactivity. It's the same thing with interactivity, exactly the same thing. Once we have interactive tools in our hands, we feel powerful with these tools in hand and we'll never let them go. I mean, I'm 47 years old. I've lived most of my life without mobile phones, and I still cannot understand what life was like when we didn't have mobile phones. It must have been horrible. It must have been absolutely horrible. I can no longer remember what it was like not to have the internet at home and being able to communicate with your friends through Facebook and email and whatever. It must have been horrible.
We could not write our books without the internet.
No, we write our books using the internet, so we would not have been writing without the internet.
Because most of the time we're not on the same continent.
Guys, I'm going to take this opportunity to wind up this mobile phone. This will be one mobile phone that is we're going to say goodnight to. Thank you very much for joining us on Bamboozler and on France24.com. We're going to carry on. You can see there are some delicious pastries that need to be eaten. There's some more champagne. So we're going to stay here, but thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to Alexander and Jan. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.